Psalm 119, Day 11. Rules from of old. We'll be reading verses 49 through 56. Remember your word to your servant, in which you have made me hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, that your promise gives me life. The insolent utterly deride me, but I do not turn away from your law. When I think of your rules from of old, I take comfort, O Lord. Hot indignation seizes me because of the wicked who forsake your law. Your statutes have been my songs in the house of my sojourning. I remember your name in the night, O Lord, and keep your law. This blessing has fallen to me, that I have kept your precepts. Our thoughts for today center around verse 52. When I think of your rules from of old, I take comfort, O Lord. A few years ago, a country music song came out that expressed the wish to hear about the good old days from the grandfather. It told of simpler, safer times when the core of the family was intact and the things they did together. If you want to see the lyrics, you can look up, "Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days." It is somehow comforting to think about the way things used to be and how much better, simpler, and uncomplicated they were. The reality is, in life, that the good old days weren't always that good. People still got sick, people died, there was crime, jobs were hard to come by, and on it goes. But that's how the mind works. Our memories become selective, as it were. However, God's Word is not like the human experience. God's Word, that the author speaks of in our passage today, is rules. When he remembers, as many versions translate it, we get the impression that he is not sullen or dismayed that it used to be that way. But as we see throughout the psalm, God's ways are unchanging. There's comfort to be found in this. There are aspects of rules we don't perhaps appreciate as much as we should. Think of them in terms of traffic laws. They aren't there to generate revenue by way of fines. They are there to keep us safe. Imagine what our roads would be like without speed limits or stop signs or warning of curves ahead. They are there to protect us. So it is with God's rules, His laws, His judgments, and His ordinances. They don't need updating. They are ancient and timeless. Many years ago, I heard of a study that was done with children. It was observed in this study two groups of young children in the elementary grades, and how their behavior changed based on their surroundings. In this case, fences. When there were no fences, the children tended to play in the center of the playground, far from the perimeter. Then they observed the behavior of children when the playground was fenced in. There, the children played right up to the fence. The fence provided a barrier of safety for them. Rules perform in much the same way. They give us safety and security. Can you imagine a world with no laws or regulations? Non-believers and skeptics attribute our moral codes to an evolutionary transition of a cooperate or die, and the altruism that came about helped man survive from the earliest times until now. According to them, this process takes thousands of generations and tens of thousands of years. I find myself being the skeptic of such an idea that has no shred of evidence to back up the claim, only human wisdom that puffs itself up against God. I think of what Paul said of the wisdom of the world in 1 Corinthians 1:25. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. When I look around at the conditions of the world today, the chaos, the violence, the political unrest, and the uncertainty of what the rules and laws will be like tomorrow from governments, I find great comfort in the rules God ordained from of old to guide us and lead us, should we simply choose to follow them. Have you found comfort in the rules of old? And Lord willing, we'll see you again tomorrow.